Well, hello. How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good. Doing real good. I gotta remember to hit mute on YouTube before I play the intro video because there's like a little delay. So like we're going into the show on this side here on my laptop, but on my other monitor where I have the actual stream playing on YouTube, the intro kicked in. And I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Why is that going on?" And then I freaked out. Like, why is it doubling? So I'm good now though because I figured out what it was, and I feel a lot better knowing it.
Nice.
So we wanted to surprise everybody tonight. Unfortunately, you see, Bobby is not with us. He was not able to make it tonight. However, cool Uncle Sean is in the house, bringing the Vicks, bringing the Franks, and we are here to hang out and have a great time. Because as you all know, whenever Skelly does an art gallery, we do a live. Don't know why it syncs up that way. I mean, it used to just be because it was a weekly show, but you know, we called it the last time we were together. We said we're going to go ahead and keep the tradition going. And again, as always, when we do the art gallery shows, Sean's got to be here. It's tradition. So, you know, we're all here tonight to make sure we all have a good time and a great episode talking about art and stuff, you know, because, I mean, I will say right off the bat, like, looking at these toys, there is art to it.
Oh yeah.
Even back in the day, most of these toys that we enjoy, the sculpting, these were done by professional artists who weren't really getting regular work. So they started sculpting for toy companies.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got a lot of the amazing sculpts that we did, that we feel that even though no matter how many versions of the toy they come out with, they just can't recapture that magic of the original. I know we've all felt it. But then other times something new comes along and just blows us out of the water with how impressive that sculpting is. I know every year I'm like, man, what's going to come out that's going to top this next year? You know, what's going to come out and top this? And I don't think there will be anything. And yet each and every week, or, you know, as time has gone by, I am pleasantly surprised every year because something comes along and it's like, holy crap, this is amazing. And there is one more member of this cast and crew who is joining us live from his gallery. We've got the man Elevator in the house.
Hey! How's it going, everybody?
Man, looks like you got quite the crowd there.
A bunch of students here at this college showed up, it looks like. So, yeah, it's right over here. How are you all doing?
Doing great. Better now that you're here, brother.
Adam, happy belated.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm my official age, I'm going to say, is 37. We're gonna go with that.
I won't tell you how old I am then. All right, let's go inside.
21 around here.
Did you get everything you wanted for your birthday?
Yeah. I mean, I've got basically, I've got everything I need right now.
You got everything you need? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right. So I hate to interrupt you guys, but Sean, it is so good to see you.
Oh, it's good to be back. It's good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Yeah. All right. You guys want a little walk around?
Yeah, let's see it.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for.
We'll start.
I'm going to give you the solo
We'll
layout.
start with the smallest one here. I'm going to take my face off. I'm going to turn it around.
Okay.
Wait, I can't do that. I can't do that because I can't see what I'm showing you.
Does it reverse the camera?
If you go into the settings, you should be able to switch which camera you're using, and you can use the rear camera.
Let's see. I can't figure that out because it's me. I can't figure it out.
We should have done a test run.
Right there. Oh, wait a second. Here we go.
Just remember, folks, we are professionals.
This is a
I can't
professional
figure it
show.
out. This one. So look, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's layers here. This is resin. So it's like a kind of has like a glassy sheen because it's resin.
Yeah.
And there's like this is paper pasted on there. You can see that there.
Okay.
It's cool. Do you have titles for these?
Yeah, this one's called Florida.
Huh.
This one's called Swan Ascending.
That one's got a lot of texture.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here regarding texture.
Nice.
This one's At the Berm Between Two Worlds.
I really like the colors on that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like the title, and I definitely feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And then over here, this one's got some Skeletor colors here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Blue and purple. First Snow. All these paintings use Masters of the Universe colors, actually.
Yeah. That's why that
This
orange
one-
one felt like home to me, I think.
Yeah. This one was in the last show. Gosh, that's already like a year and a half ago that we did this last one. This one's pretty massive. Would you do me a favor and stand next to that so they can see the size? So this young gentleman is standing next to that.
Okay, yeah.
Very cool.
Sorry, you were just on YouTube.
Warn people before you ask.
Oh, and then this one here.
Okay, a little bit of sculpting. Okay.
So, what's that? What's the sculpture called?
Getting TARDIS vibes from that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That one, I can't not think of the spot from the last Spider-Man movie.
Right?
It looks like that void area he goes into.
Yeah.
I like that one quite a lot.
Really cool.
Oh, that's probably my favorite color, blue, right there.
Right?
Love that one. It feels electric.
Yes. Yeah.
Electric blue.
Yeah, exactly. Electric blue.
And it's a small gallery. It's a small show. But that's the walkthrough. Is there
Brother,
anything,
I love it.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Is there anything you guys want to see again, or anything up close?
The sculpture. What's the name of the sculpture?
Serious Distance.
Okay. I dig it. I really like that.
So you want this is friendly. This chair. This sculpture in the last show. Maybe I talked about the sorry if I but this chair was in my my dad and my stepmother's kitchen. Most of my childhood, they were going to get rid of it, and I made sure I stole it and used it for this. And I made this plaster body sitting in here with, using chicken wire and plaster, all the and then up here, these are 2 seat cushions underneath this tablecloth that belong to my grandparents' chairs that I wrapped with twine and then soaked the tablecloth in paint and then sealed it in there permanently.
It's nice. I dig it, brother. I dig it. So, has it been your work
Cool,
on the
guys.
Snake Mountain that has made you delve more into the resin?
Hold on one second. Okay, what was that?
I was asking, has it been your work on the different Snake Mountain projects that have made you delve more into resin and using it in your art now?
Well, I had used resin once, like when I was, years and years ago. Gosh, almost like 20 years ago, I'd used resin before, but using it again, the Snake Mountain made me really want to put it on to create layers with it. So.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool concept to do that. Like you said, to create that depth of field layer within.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Sorry.
So next time you do a Snake Mountain, what you've got to do is like a little gallery in there with miniature versions of your art within Snake Mountain.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, you know what? I was thinking about this because I have, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have the Gray Skull again. It's back in my possession. The first one that I made. Oh yeah, you guys know. So I started I started re-sculpting the face of Gray Skull to get it to honor original illustrations and also to get it to look a little bit better because I wanted to. But I think I'll do that. I'll do a little installation of my artworks on the walls inside Gray Skull.
Yeah, totally.
That would be so cool.
That'll be your
Gray
hall
Skull
of
needs art on
wisdom.
the walls.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. That is awesome. I'd really love to see that. You'll have the permanence of the Skelevator Gallery.
I might do it. Well, guys, I gotta go hang out with family, but I hope that you all have fun tonight, and thanks for letting me show this stuff off.
Well, thanks for showing it to us.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Love it.
And we appreciate the tour, and we expect a more detailed video for the channel later on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do a walkthrough, a real slow walkthrough, and then post that in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it, brother. Well, look, have a great time, and we're going to try to party on without you this time, brother, but we miss you. We'll see you on the next one.
I know you guys are going to have a blast tonight. Do it for me.
Oh, we got to, right? We got to bring in views for Skelly's channel, right? We got to bring it up. Keep it up.
Good night, guys. Everybody,
you,
wait. Everybody watching, everybody in the chat, thank you all so much for watching the channel and hanging out with these beautiful hosts, and give them all the love.
Take care, brother. All right, guys. So now that we've all got to enjoy that tour, I love that. I love that we do these little things because Skelly's all the way on the other side of the country. I'm never going to be able to get out there to go see any of his galleries, right? Unless like it's well planned out in advance somehow. So this way we get to enjoy that portion of him that we wouldn't actually be able to see otherwise because we're not there in person. I mean, we're all East Coasters, so which explains why we always seem like we're tired when the show goes on. Meanwhile, it's only 6 o'clock in the afternoon over there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Speaking of, Thanos says he's a bit tired, overworked, and then he had some surprise expenses today.
Oh,
So,
that's
brother, we all know how that goes. Sorry that you're going through it rough right there now, but you'll bounce back. You'll be up, up and about, and totally back. See, look, okay. Thanos says he's a slacker because he could have gone. But you know what, brother? I can understand. But as we just highlighted, you're tired, overworked, and you had a hell of a day.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, do we want to jump into the chat and start saying hello to everybody who showed up for us tonight and hanging out?
Let's do it.
All right, we've got my buddy's Customs in the house hanging out with us. What is going on, bud? Good to see you here. As we already highlighted one of his chats, Thanos Copter is here with us. We have Alf or Nolan's first. Sorry. Then we have Alf Inflict in the house saying, hey, folks, how's the frenzy tonight? It is good, brother. Always good that you are here with us. So, again, Nolan, as well as his better half, Ray, fully making us 100% fully official toy tubers. Just ain't official unless Nolan and Ray are in the chat. We've got Aaron Davies in the chat saying, good evening, my fellow frenzy freaks. Ooh, I love the alliteration. Thank you. We've got JMax77 in the house saying, hey, you guys. Absolutely love it. Going to be seeing JMac in just a couple more weeks. We'll be heading up to Legion's Con. I'll be trying to record some video and get that available so a lot of other people can enjoy it as well and hang out with everybody there. I'm not making any promises, though, because as busy as PowerCon was, I've made more friendships and relations over the years since PowerCon, and this is going to be jam-packed with a lot of people that I'm just going to be meeting for the first time. But I am doing my best, I promise. We've got Eric Perryman in the house. Speaking of people who I met also at PowerCon, met Eric there. Thank you, brother, for being here, as well as I met J-Mac and the whole family there. Super excited. I got a selfie with J-Mac's daughter, actually the whole fam, I believe, in one shot. But yeah, getting to meet celebrities like that, you got to be, I was just blown away from it. And we've got Dave's Dimension in the house. What is going on, Dave? Great to see you here, brother. And I think that about catches us up right now. So, guys, I know, normally we've been doing this thing once a month, and it normally feels like it's been about a month. It actually doesn't feel so long this time, but I think that's because we just pulled this one off the cuff, and we were just 2 weeks ago we did this. But I gotta say, it's always fun to be back, hanging out, doing the frenzy thing. And what's going on in the last couple weeks, guys? Any pickups? Any surprises?
Yeah,
Sean.
I was
gonna say, Adam, you've had a birthday. Sean,
Yeah.
I know you got one coming
Sean's
up.
got a birthday coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm that guy. I'm not there yet. I'm pulling back. It's that age. So
Yeah. Well, Sean, it's a big step when everybody hits 21. Adam knows he just hit 21.
I know it's rough.
all that drinking. Oh God.
Yeah. Had my first sip of 7 and 7, whatever the newbie drink is.
Right. I don't even know anymore. I'm so out of touch with that. As soon as I got sober, I just stopped paying attention to whatever anybody else is drinking nowadays. It's crazy like that, but honestly, I'm so glad.
Yeah. Well, I can show off some of my birthday stuff.
Yeah, let's see it.
All right, so some of this is kind of fun. Just a little off the wall. I've got a Masters of the Universe clock.
Off the wall. Did you catch that? Because it's off the wall. I love it.
That's right. Eventually, we'll go on the wall. So we got the clock. We've got same image. It's a lamp. It's not put together, but you can just see the shade. I literally just took this out of the box, but.
Nice.
Masters lamp. Got a selection of the Hot Wheels, the Masters themed Hot Wheels.
That was Ann Carroll's partner this past year. She managed to snag him all those Hot Wheels. They are cool.
Yeah, they're cool. And I had a pre-order that I ordered months ago. It finally came. This is to go with my classics castle, the Barbarossa triangular weapons rack,
Nice.
which is I enjoy more than the actual weapons rack. I think it's just a really nice
Mhm.
shape. And he also threw in some extra weapons. Like he came up with this actual flail weapon with a chain on it.
Cool. Just in time to go with the demo man.
That's right.
Mhm.
Like a silver version of the shield and swords that came with Castle Grayskull Man. Pretty cool.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. A few other things like the both classics power swords, the mini comics and the standard one, and
Mhm.
silver Sword of the Ancients that came originally with the Fang Man. And then I think another couple of axes and swords. So pretty cool
Very-
stuff.
Now, can all of those be swapped in and out on the weapons rack, or
Yeah. You basically can put it whatever you want on there. I've kind of arranged
Okay.
them, but then the shield goes kind of in the back.
yeah?
It might work. You could probably do it like if you had like you could probably do this with Origins stuff too if you wanted something like this in your Origins castle. Um, but I had this the first time I had the castle, the classics castle, so I wanted it again. I just think it's a nice little set.
Right.
Nice.
Thanos definitely says nice rack. Oh, we appreciate that. Always appreciate that, Jim. Well, I've had a pretty exciting week of mail calls. So, as you guys know, I've been as deep into Origins lately. Although I say that, and yet in the last couple of weeks, I picked up more Origins than I have all year. So, a couple weeks ago, got Fight War. Super excited to have gotten that. Well, Alan, Vine Jungle Figure Factory, while out hunting in the wild, Terror and Lord Grounds.
Nice.
So 2 more Snake Men down, 2 left to go currently. Need to grab a Reptilax, need to grab Necroconda. Very excited. I'll be opening these guys up on Saturday. And then this bad boy came in. That beautiful
Nice.
Nate Barch art. And all the way from the back of the box, it's like straight out of the pages of Dr. Frankenstein's book. Not just Mary Shelley's book, like, because he's got like all these notes and stuff like that scribbled in here with different tools. It's just absolutely amazing and outstanding. Came in this week, and I've got a toy edge because it has become a tradition to open these up on Clubhouse with all the other guys in the Clubhouse. So even though I've got it sitting here, and we're going to come up to this weekend, not everybody's gotten theirs yet. I know myself, I've gotten mine. Ed's gotten his. I think Brick's still waiting on his to arrive. Thanos hadn't even gotten a shipping notice yet. So, got to wait until everybody gets theirs. And then we're all going to open them up together on the Clubhouse because that's a lot of fun. And Joe Gonzalez, he will be joining us. But the funny part is he actually already opened his. But his all-in that he ordered hadn't shipped yet. So when that comes in, then he will be opening that with us as well. And Sean, when yours arrives, if you can toy edge until the rest of us get it, we'd love to have you on and share that experience. Since it's your damn fault I got addicted to plastic crap from the Four Horsemen in the first place with a figure obscura, but I ain't mad
The first one, yeah.
I ain't mad at you at all.
Well, I mean, geez, the last thing that I got. I've had to be good for 6 months now. The last thing that I got was the Mondo Tila that you guys helped with. So if you want to talk Edge, I mean,
Yeah.
anything past that, it's like I'm just sitting here, and there's days where I'm like, and you got any of those action figures, y'all? Kind of thing, I'm just in that mode lately. I did actually today. I did one thing for me. I had to go to Target, and unfortunately, a while back, I had to part ways with this figure. Bills needed to be paid or whatever. But I looked at it today, and I'm like, it's that season. We're gonna do this. So I ended up doing the NECA Universal Frankenstein.
All right.
Haven't taken him out yet. He is old school because he's been out for like a couple years now.
Yeah.
But I still, my daughter being awesome like she is, she was the one to go in and get me the Dracula for Christmas and all that stuff. So ever since then, I'm like, I need to get these back because I love me the Universal monsters. There's no way around that.
Right. I mean, they're classic. That's like we watched those old movies as kids and everything.
Yep.
They're iconic. They're classic. And as much as I love this creature, that's still such an iconic look, and I absolutely adore those figures. And I adore the old Remco looking ones, and
Yes,
toys and stuff like that too. I mean, it's just so great that they've persisted and stuck around. I love that this one is definitely that literary look because nobody's really made, I don't know, a decent toy of that. Mind you, the Four Horsemen are they've sculpted Frankenstein's monster for McFarlane back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's not like they hadn't touched this before. But this is fully them with their sign off and okay on it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is going to be like, oh, that looks cool, but I want this, right? Because you could look at those monsters, and every time I look at them, I'm like, he's got a little bit of overkill from the Spawn comics going in there.
Right.
Like he's not just, it's not that classic literary look. This is full classic literary look, which I absolutely love. But yeah, and
So
Trevor's photos, he had a couple little Easter eggs on the headstones in there. And in one of the headstones in the back, he had Shelley, it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And then on one of the other ones, he had Karloff on there.
Nice.
As a nod to Boris Karloff. And that is just so cool. I'm glad he did that because, again, that is iconic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So in the Figura Obscura line, so I know they've done things like there was like the Headless Horseman.
Mm-hmm.
There was Krampus and Santa Claus. Have they done? Is this like the first sort of Universal monster one they've done in that line? Or
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So far, the very first one, and I can actually like talk about this as an authority because I have every single one that has come out so far. They started off with Krampus. Now, Headless Horseman apparently was supposed to be the first one, but that didn't make it in time. So we got Krampus that first year. And then next year was when they came out and revealed the Headless Horseman. And then that came out a few months later. And then, and Sean, thank you again, brother, because without you, I totally missed out on that. Of course, I didn't know that we were going to get a retail exclusive one later that I was going to love. But even with that, like still that first one is absolutely one of my most favorite pieces of my collection because I never really expected donut. I was just like, I missed the boat on this thing. So you really helped me out, brother. I can't thank you enough.
Sure. No problem.
Such a great figure. Then we got the Father Christmas. Okay, and I remember this was at a time where there was only 3 of them out, and we were still kind of figure out really kind of, I remember Sean, you, Jesse, and I all talking. Mm-hmm. Was just a real, where are they pulling these ideas from kind of thing, because they weren't really saying. But as we've seen, it's got to be public domain. and it's all kind of literary works, right? So we got the Father Christmas, and then it was just that March or April. Then we got Sun Wukong, the Monkey King.
Mhm.
I was blown away by that. And then come around this time last year was when they did the Mask of the Red Death, which
Ooh.
for Sean and I know that hits real close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Being a couple Baltimoreans,
Good old Baltimore with Edgar Allan Poe, absolutely, yeah.
So
And last year too, they had that Fall of the House of Usher miniseries on Netflix.
Perfectly.
That was the perfect timing because I'm sure they had that in development before that came out.
Oh,
but the
yeah.
fact that there was even an episode about that in there, and that was one of the few times when I remember my wife and I were watching that like over the span of probably like 2 weeks, depending when the kids would get to bed, we'd try to catch an episode. And that was one of the few times where I'm like, there's actually a figure they're making based on one of the episodes, like that's an homage to an episode that's an homage to the actual story. And that was one of the few times where I showed her something and she was like, that's cool. And I'm like, finally, you get it a little bit.
Right?
She can appreciate it a little bit that way.
It's just been really, really cool to see this ride and kind of figure out where they were going. And I mean, then last year's Christmas, we got the Jacob Marley and they started going down the route of Christmas Carol. Then earlier this year, we got the Gods of Egypt, which blew me away. I was like, oh, we're getting in the pantheons now. We're going like pre-written literary. It's like most of that stuff was before there was even written language, just tales told down and then put into written language. So that's really great. And this was kind of a shock, but I got to tell you, with the teaser that they put out for it, it was really a no-brainer. And okay, I get Figure Obscura, the logos, the key and all like that. And you saw the key and the lightning and you put together Ben Franklin. But come on, they haven't done an actual person this whole time. Mm-hmm. And you were like, oh, yeah, it's going to be Ben Franklin. What garbage is that?
Mm-hmm.
It even said that Figure Obscura is coming alive, like coming to life. Like, come on, guys. It was pretty obvious. We all kind of figured it out.
That was the easiest one. But then when you actually saw what they did with it, there was that, like, you didn't expect it, for the accessories included and all that. I know they've done the accessories, but when you look at that, you're like, I love how this could be an old school mad scientist laboratory that you can pretty much do a diorama now just using all of those pieces. And that was for me, it's like I like I said, I love the old Universal monster movies. Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, those guys are like, they're up there for me, almost as silly as it sounds to say it. They're like Bert and Ernie from my childhood in a sense too, because when I was a kid, I would watch Sesame Street, but The Count was one of my favorites because he was a Dracula homage.
Right.
So, and then when you see this, it's like, they went in and they made sure you got some bang for your buck with all of the different pieces. So,
yeah, hang on a sec here. I'm going to try to share a bigger image of it because I don't know if you had actually seen this, Adam, but I mean, the stuff you get with us is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts.
Yeah, Thanos says we definitely need a doctor now, right? Like, I just want a head scientist.
Yeah, the doctor, and if they do like an Igor, or in the first movie, it was technically Fritz, having one of those characters be in there, the bride eventually, if they want to. I don't know. They never had her in the book.
Right? No, she was strictly a Universal.
She was Universal. So I don't know if the public domain on that's probably different. But
yeah,
I mean, to be completely honest, after seeing this again, Dracula, I wouldn't mind if next Halloween all of a sudden there's a Dracula Figure Obscura now, and
right,
take on that.
Straight out of Bram Stoker's original. Like, again, we got to go back to the novels, folks.
Yes.
It's not going to be. He's not going to be walking around looking like Gary Oldman here. Okay,
no.
But I mean, the sculpting on this again is insane. The detail in the coat. The coat is not soft goods, but the pants are.
Mm-hmm.
The pants are soft goods. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You got the different books. You got some shackles. The paint job on this Hagnon head are absolutely ridiculously morbid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that head. That's
Well, and it's cool because all of these fit in the jars, right? Like you can fit the heads in the jars. The hand goes in a jar. The skeletal hand here. So like all the amount of props you get, again,
Mm-hmm.
like they're giving you $40 worth of props and a $70 figure here. If you're into like toy photo, like this is it. And the other cool part about it is if you missed out on the initial weekend, they put it back up for sale last Friday and they've had it running. It's still available now. So
Mm-hmm.
guys, it's counting down. If you want to pick up one of these great things just in time for Halloween, gotta grab it. Gotta grab it. I'm gonna pull up that graveyard shot too, real quick, just because again, Trevor's work is insane. His photos. I mean, yeah, he's trying to get us to sell the toy. Totally, he sells the toy. He does. But if you see right down here in the background says Shelley, and then it's a little bit harder to see here, but this
Karloff,
is
yeah.
Karloff. So again, just a really cool nod from Trevor on this.
That's awesome.
But the different looks you can do with the figure really, really make it something unique. I never get tired talking about Four Horsemen stuff because again, like talking about art, man, these guys are artists that like everything they do from their time at McFarlane, their sculpts wowed me, but McFarlane doesn't understand articulation.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't that well articulated. Then seeing the work that these guys carried over into 2000X, like giving us some really awesome looking sculpts on some He-Man toys in the early 2000s, and then into classics, blown away by classics completely. Once I found it, it's a shame that was years late. Of course, I don't know. I couldn't have been on that ride from the start anyway.
I
Man, I
missed
talk about being broke now. I can only imagine if I was along for that ride. Which again, it's really cool to see that some of that stuff from classics we're getting it here. We're getting it in Origins, which is really cool. And then
Definitely.
all of Axel's sketches and everything that he does, like I keep seeing the rounds. Everybody's getting the new Snake, Rise of the Snake Men book, or King of the Snake Men with Axel, and I'm like, I want that book so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not an actual Snake Man, but I feel like for my collection of Snake Men to be complete, I need to own the book.
Yeah. I think it's still available on Big Bang Toy Store, right?
Yes, it is. It's just that price tag that's hurting me too much.
Yeah.
Right? Be like, let me go.
Yeah.
I mean, again, paying off this figure here.
Yeah.
I know. Just last week, Kyle helped out grab Demo Man. I gotta send him funds for that. I just bought Connor's costume for Halloween. He's gonna be Wolverine this year. See, I thought I had time to buy that, and then his mom kind of dropped the bomb on me that he needed it by tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, great. And had to rush out last weekend and go find his costume. And now that he's in adult sizes, I'm thinking I'm going out and I'm just going to buy like a $30 or $40 costume. Nope. He's an adult size. So it's like 70, especially for a big name, popular property this year. Yeah, that thing was insanely expensive. But he looks great. And he is so tickled by it. It's a little bit baggy because we got him an adult medium. He could probably work out into an adult small, but he doesn't want to let it go. He was just like, no, don't. I'm not even going to try to go back to the store with it and see if they got a smaller size. The one I went to, they didn't. But his mom and he live up in PA, so they've got one up by him. I tucked the receipt in there. I was like, see if he'll go try on a small and see if it fits a little bigger. Because, I'm just worried with the mask and everything, he's going to trip and fall over his own shoes while trick-or-treating. That's never good,
Yeah, not good.
So got a couple more people rolling in. I know I had pulled up another artist here, Allison Troy. does great content on the channel with all of her coloring, and she just keeps getting better and better at it. So it's awesome. All retro toy coloring books, folks, go check them out. They give you the feels. You can smell the Crayola from your childhood as you see her color the pictures. She uses much better colored pencils, but you smell the Crayola when you're watching. We got Henri in the house. What is going on, brother? It's good to see you. All right. Wait About Funds. Thanos is mentioning broke right now. Had to cancel a bunch of pre-orders today. As he said, he's had some surprise expensive pop-ups, so
Yep.
it happens. That's the sad part. You know, as much as I preach about kidulting, we all have to adult sometimes too.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Nolan says, up here, you need the large because it has to fit over the snowsuit. You know, that used to be the way around here, too, because it would not be, you know, it was not that uncommon to have some snow coming down on Halloween. And then the 2000s hit, and suddenly that stopped being a thing, it seemed. Because after that, I remember, like, I'd go out in, like, short sleeves on Halloween.
Yep.
And that was awkward because, yeah, you did always have to have a bigger costume to fit over the bigger clothes, the heavier clothes. So, if we're here to talk about art and stuff, what are some of your guys' art influences? I mean, I know we've all been blown away by the art design from Masters Universe and the boxes. You know, we've talked about it a lot. It's how we love that art. And we all wanted panel bands with Gray Skull and everything down the side of it. I'm still rooting for that.
Adams would just be the Battle Ram box art all across
Right.
it. It's like, that's how you know it's Adam pulling up. If it's me
That's
pulling
right.
up, it'd be Gray Skull, because why not? You know?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, one of
Yeah,
these
I mean-
days, we're actually going to build out a Battle Ram. Like, I've got to.
Dude, yeah, I've got the missile, like the life size, not the missile, but just the head of the missile. So we just need the rest of it.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, just got to build the rest of the vehicle. We got a missile.
No worries.
We need to build it around this.
Yeah,
Here you go, guys. Now get to work on the rest of it.
this is
Yeah.
this
Oh
is
my
it.
Not even the whole missile. It's just a face.
Yeah, I mean it's the face, but the rest is just a cylinder. So just get some PVC pipe in the back.
We
Yeah.
could just hit Home Depot and complete that portion of it.
No problem.
If you could make like a cast of that, you could just like drill holes into the eyes and put rope around it, and that could be a Halloween mask for you right there.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, and then I could make it like 80s, like get a smock that just says
just
Battle
get the
Ram
smoke,
on
but
it.
then that's like the holy crap, that's coming at me.
Something like that. Like make some. Like you could even just get away with buying like some generic PJs and say it's, you know, some of the later Ben Cooper costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They've been making a comeback this year. I know
That's
for
cool.
like years, like you didn't see that kind of styled costume, and I saw several of them in adult sizes too. Because I hit a lot of Spirit of Halloweens last week trying to find this damn costume. And yeah, they got them there, but like they've got them for kids and adults now, which is
Yeah,
just funny. That's just
that's
funny.
awesome.
That's nostalgia right there. Geez.
Right? Like I was half tempted to go buy the Mummy one just cause, like, because that was mine as a kid. Like I had that costume.
Yeah.
I think I had a couple. I had a Yoda one, and I had C-3PO, if I remember right. Most of my other ones, I was really lucky that growing up, my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom. She usually could figure out ways of making my outfits somehow. So it honestly felt like I was cheaping out if we went that route, because it's like that whole, you know, homemade, mom helped make it for me. It's like, I think that's kind of why I even love Superman for that reason, because there's always that, you know, my mom made my suit for me about him, you know, and it's like when I was a kid, Halloween was like my mom there at the sewing machine going, I honestly hate this Halloween, or I hate this holiday. And then by the end of the holiday, she's so proud taking photos all over the place because it came out better than she expected it to, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember another one I had too was like a Freddy Krueger one, but I was so disappointed. Like on the front of the packaging, it shows Freddy Krueger like he looks in the movie, right?
Hmm.
The inside, now again, this is when they were more like PJs and not like that little plasticky kind of like smock. It's more like it was just PJs. And it was wasn't even red and green. It was a black and green striped sleeves. The front of the shirt was white and had the silhouette of Freddy with the glove on it. It said Nightmare on Elm Street. There's no glove. I'm disappointed. Mind you, I'm like 6. I shouldn't even know who Freddy is, but I love that gloved claw. And the mask, right? No burnt, disfigured face looking mask. No, it looked like Robin's mask. Like, it's just a little band that went across the eye. And that was my Freddy Krueger costume for when I was like 6. Now, mind you, years later, I think it was like 4th or 5th grade, I did finally get it where it had like the pullover shirt. It came with the little foam like hat and then the glove and the mask, the actual burnt face mask. So I did eventually get that costume. But yeah, I remember getting that and like seeing Freddy on the front of the package, and I was like, "Yeah, this is it." And then I get home and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Mind you, I didn't use such colorful language at that tender age.
Oh man.
Now, Allison's mentioning Ben Cooper. She had Leia, C-3PO, Strawberry Shortcake, Wonder Woman, He-Man, and She-Ra.
Nice.
I mean, 70s going into the 80s, that was the standard of the bought costume.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they weren't terribly expensive, but they were expensive enough. You know?
My first one was the Superman, the Ben Cooper Superman.
Oh yeah, and it is classic and iconic.
I might have had that one too. Come to think of it, I don't remember.
I think I had a Darth Vader one like that as well. You know, again, just a plastic shell mask, Darth Vader, no lightsaber, crappy kind of T-shirt, and with a little Velcro cape. It did come with the cape, and I was surprised. And yeah, exactly this. The plastic masks that hurt your face, you know, because the way the covering was. Or if it cracked and broke, like it would pinch your skin.
Yeah.
Oh man, all the time. Or and when the band
smell too.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's terrible smell, and you had to wear it all night too.
Yeah.
And yet we look back at these so fondly, and it's like, oh man, there was nothing great about these, but they were great at the same time.
It has a mask, and thank God it says what I am on here, because otherwise I look like every other kid. It's like, I'm in a smock. What do you want from me, person? Give me some candy.
Give me the candy. I dressed up.
Oh my God.
And it always seemed to happen like either the day after or a couple days after Halloween, the actual day. If it made it to Halloween, if your parents were like mine and forced you to leave the damn costume alone until Halloween, your mask might have lasted long enough to actually be wearable that night, because always one of the sides of the little freaking elastic band, it would break right out, and then you could never really wear the mask again. Because again, there was no way you were going to fix the mask enough to be able to put the elastic band back.
No. Looking at things now, my kids, my daughter's in middle school at this point, but like for elementary school, I remember you could wear your costume to school and they'd have a parade or something, or they do something here. They don't do that anymore. It really is like, it's so watered down. Like when I was a kid, I remember that we had, like when I was in Baltimore, we had a parade down the street from the elementary school so we could walk through our neighborhood showing off our costumes. And then later on, either that night or the night after, we'd be back in costume, run around doing trick-or-treat and all that stuff. You got to go to school and you're like, I get to be, like He-Man or Superman for the day or whatever because I'm wearing my costume all day. How cool is that?
Yeah, man. I'd show up to school, again, One year dressed as Freddy Krueger, another year dressed as Darth Vader. Couldn't bring the lightsaber, couldn't bring the clawed glove, but I was able to wear the mask just for the parade, though. Couldn't wear the mask all day, but at least for the parade. And, you know, we used to do that kind of stuff. Now, at least at Connor's school in PA, they do a parade of characters. But it can't be associated as Halloween. But it is a parade of characters. And last year they did get to do it, and he had a blast, and it was fun. And they recorded it and put it on their YouTube, too, which was kind of odd. I got to enjoy it, though. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Bud says in CW Superman and Lois show, first episode, there's a flashback of Superman's first save, and a kid said he had a nice costume, and he responded, "Thanks, my mom helped me make it."
Yep.
And he says, Bud says, I had a Freddy Krueger custom costume in late elementary school, and it was a rubber mask with a rubber hat, and I remember that thing burning my eyes and face because the chemicals used during molding. Yeah, sometimes it's good to give them a wipeout or a rinse. But yeah, definitely good times, though.
Absolutely. Was there a costume that you remember was like, that was the Halloween to you when you were growing up?
Oh, man. It might have been the Darth Vader.
Okay.
I did Darth Vader the year after I was the Freddy Krueger. I remember that. And it wasn't like the full two-piece Darth Vader helmet. It was just a rubber one. But it had like the good lenses. It had like an actual chest piece to it. It had the cloak. I mean, really, you had to basically wear your own black shirt and black pants under it and all like that. And it had like the boot covers. But man, I just felt so bad when I put that on. And of course, at that time, Power of the Force was out. So my lightsaber wasn't the cheap flashlight lightsaber that, you know, all the stores sold. Like, no, this is the official toy Darth Vader lightsaber this year, buddy. You watch out. And, you know, like, to me, being able to dress up as him, that was probably one of my most favorites. And then there was stuff like later in high school where, you know, I just put on a mask and like an outfit or put on some makeup and an outfit. Like, it wasn't anything crazy, but I still just enjoy. Most of the time I was walking out in my regular clothes on Halloween with just my face painted up a little bit heavier than usual makeup. But I enjoyed it. It was a fun time. I just love the spirit of Halloween and being out on that night. Didn't matter what costume I was wearing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm right there with you. How about you, Adam?
So the first one I had was that Superman. I don't think I even picked it. I think just my mom picked it up for me. But that was great just because that was my first time going out, and I was like blown away by like, oh, people got spooky jack-o'-lantern decorations everywhere. And what's this tradition? You know, like people give me candy if I ask nicely for it.
Yeah.
I can't remember a lot of my costumes until like later, like as a teenager, I would come up with stuff that was like Tim Burton-y sort of face paint. Like I did I was a jack-o'-lantern one year, and I did a sort of a Tim Burton-y look to the makeup and stuff like that.
Cool.
Definitely did a Jason Voorhees one year too. I think I did at least every one of the major slasher flicks, except for Ghostface. Like, and it's funny because that was the popular slasher series of the '90s between Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yet I never dressed up as the fisherman. That was just kind of, that dude was not scary. All right.
Not in any way, shape, or
Never.
form.
I mean, the hook was pretty intimidating. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
This giant freaking fishmonger hook, it's intimidating. But he was not scary, okay? Like, hold off there, Fisherman Gordon. Chill. Like, you know. Go get your clams and put it in the freezer section, okay? I just was not scared of him. Like, and again, the ghost face mask was so iconic as a Halloween mask before the Scream movie came out. Again, I wasn't like terrified of it because that mask had been around forever that I could remember. Every Halloween, that ghost mask was always around, and then they used it in the movie. And then after that, of course, it was not a generic mask anymore. It was always Scream after that.
Mm-hmm.
Allison says there was a neighbor girl who was a complete biatch. And when we were kids, she complained about her Ben Cooper Barbie mask hurting. And I said, "It hurts. Your face is killing me." She cried. Such a baby. Appreciate that sass, Allison. And yeah, it's because of the Karens who complain about cupcakes and sugar, right? Yeah, you can't make cupcakes or cookies to bring into school events anymore. It's got to be something purchased at a store. You know, but I do remember as a kid, my mom would make cookies. Like, we didn't just have cookies at Christmas. My mom would start making cookies like almost every holiday because we had the cookie cutters. So she'd just make whatever sugar cookie dough, and then we'd use the cookie cutters and cut out the different shapes of the dough and then decorate them. You know, we'd use the food coloring and decorate. I loved it. There was always, like, we had bats and skulls and stuff like that for Halloween, which, again, is my favorite. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm making a giant bat cookie because we had a little bat and then we had this big bat one. It's like, I'm making a giant bat cookie. I just wanted a giant cookie. It had nothing to do with the fact that it was shaped like a bat, but it did kind of remind me of Skeletors. And I was at the right size where it would have been on my chest like that.
Nice.
I love how we're talking about art and stuff, and now we're just like, we're going to head down nostalgia for Halloween. It's October. It works. Skelly, we
back
hijacked
on the art part. It's okay.
We can. I mean, yeah, we can eventually. We'll work it back there. And okay, so Nolan's school still does the Halloween costume parade and parties. No weapons or accessories, right? Like, that was like the only rule we had as kids, was just no weapons or accessories. But, like, you know, the costumes were welcome. Thanos said he went as Death one year. That was another one I did. And carried a real sickle all over the town. That I did not do. That would have been awesome. It's probably a good thing I didn't. I don't know how that night would have went, but you probably would have heard about it on the news. Nolan says his favorite was probably the Joker, and his brother went as Batman. That sounds like it was just a setup to give your brother an excuse to, like, you know, beat on you. Like, that sounds like it's just like,
he beat him up so hard the words were appearing in air.
Hey, there you go. J-Max says, "Man, this makes me nostalgic. Maybe I'll actually dress up this year." I encourage it, brother. I encourage it. Have fun. Recapture that magic. Dress up. Dress up, have fun with it. I went trick-or-treating on Christmas Eve one year in my 20s. I wasn't even a kid. Okay? Real story, it happened. Trick-or-treating, Christmas Eve. Got candy canes, got cookies. It was blessed. People were confused, but we got shit. So it worked. You did all the famous slashers, even O.J. Simpson? I did, and they frowned upon my blackface.
Oh,
yeah, I'm going to make that joke 10 times worse. Let's see. My ex's wife came with him to one of my Halloween parties. I complimented her witch costume. She said, "I'm not wearing a witch costume." Sure, Jan. Even the green, that's natural, Jan. Come on. And Thanos wants to make a budget Fisto costume.
That'd be cool.
Dude, go for it.
Yeah. Just get a Thanos gauntlet painted up silver.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. That's perfect, right? Like, you still got to be able to find those around. And
although I think it's left-handed on Thanos, isn't it?
No, it's right-handed.
It was right-handed.
I think.
Okay.
I'm almost sure.
Yes, because when he's standing there ready to snap at Tony, he's looking like this and holding up this
Yep.
hand.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for me, I think my favorite probably, like when I was a kid, my favorite was, and I feel really bad because He-Man was always number one for me as a kid, but the one that I ended up doing was Lion-O.
Hmm.
And that was the same year that they came out, and I got really into Thundercats for at least a year or so. And I ended up I had the Sword of Omens with the light up insignia in it, and then I also had the claw shield from the one play set. Then my mom got me a red wig, and she built me a muscle suit to make me look more like how he'd look in the show and all that stuff. And I remember, like, that was the Halloween where I went around the neighborhood and I wasn't afraid of a damn thing. And if something came up to me and tried to scare me, I would roar as loud as my vocal cords could take it at them. And I actually had an adult throw candy at me and leave me alone because they didn't want me to keep making noise. And I just was like, I won, you know.
Darn right you won.
That one
That's
was
awesome.
that one for my childhood. And then when I was in high school, I started working out like crazy and stuff, and I was in like much better shape. For multiple years, I went as the Crow, and I got myself down to like 140 to 130 weight wise, so I was really gaunt looking, and I did all the electrical tape and painted my face up and all that stuff. I had the wig for that because I had curly hair, so that didn't work very well. But I love doing that one because that was one of those suits that if you could pull it off, girls would notice you. And that was that was an easy way to break the ice back in high school. Like, you show up looking like that, and the girls like, I never looked at you that way before. I'm like, yeah, if I take this wig off, you're still gonna not look at me ever again. But I got it at least for this moment, you know.
That's right.
Pretty proud of that. So
Nice.
So Thanos is really bringing the guns here. He's going to go for the budget Fisto costume, and I am all for it, brother. Do it.
definitely.
Yeah. Or sometimes there's those cheap Hulk fists you can get, like in cheap toy stores.
There you
do
go.
that,
Yeah,
too.
it's a good base. Then you just kind of build up a little around it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Allison says, "Do it." And he already has a foam sword mostly done. Nice. What kind of foam sword are you making, Thanos? Is this a is it like
huge one?
Well, I'm wondering because I know Thanos is a huge fan of Berserk, the manga as well as the anime. Are you doing Guts' Dragon Slayer? Because that's awesome. See, Eric says, Oz, I just sent you pictures you can share from a few years ago. All right, guys, hang on a sec here. Well, I don't know that I'll be able to make it big enough. I'll try. Now it's funny because he did it. He did a screenshot of it and sent it to me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hold on a sec here. We're gonna try to see if we get this to work. Here we go. This is what Eric's dressed up as a while ago. Bunch of YouTubers. That's what he's dressed up as. Now we got Eric right here, dressed up in the yellow pants. Post Halloween on the boat, Toad Boaters version of one of the minions. Okay, so he's a minion. It works, man. It works. He's all yellow. He's got the goggles. Minion for sure. That was one of Connor's first. When Connor could actually ask or articulate what he wanted to be, he was a minion that first year. Prior to that, he was a skeleton. He had no say in the matter, and we all had matching Halloween costumes. I had a T-shirt that had a rib cage, and inside the rib cage there were some burgers and fries and other delicious food. Oh no, this was the year. Well, he was still a skeleton that first year, and I just dressed to go along with it. But the year prior, when his mom was still pregnant with him, she had like the little rib cage, but it had a baby doing a ninja kick inside. It was a little skeletal baby doing a ninja kick. And then, of course, her first daughter, Marissa, she had a little skeleton shirt, with the rib cage, and it had the candy inside. Nice. It was just cool matching. And, of course, actually, this works out perfectly because I sent the pictures to Eric last year. This was Connor's costume last year. Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So at his whole school thing, they were doing balloon animals. So somebody just made a balloon effect to go on the end of his neutrino wand.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
Right? Like, it was so cool. But, they had all this stuff, like, was pretty much at Ollie's, like the Proton Pack, the neutrino wand, that was all there. I just had to buy the jumpsuit for them. And then they had the little keychain ghost plushies. So clipping the ghost plushies to the straps like he caught them.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's my
really
holy
cool.
grail, like getting the spirit one.
Yeah.
I mean, those are like $200 or $300, but every time I go to Spirit, I'm like, oh my god, I start salivating every time I see them because that is like, that's what I wanted as a kid so freaking bad. And now as an adult, I gotta spend 3 figures just to get that again. But if I got one of those, even if my kids are grown and they don't want to do trick-or-treating, I'll go trick-or-treating by myself. And I'll take that around. I'm a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, I won't even have to walk up to the houses. I'll just walk around the neighborhood and shoot people dressed as ghosts. Don't care. Do not care. And I got to tell you, looking this past weekend, man, I was eyeing them up. I've got to be good because Legion's Con is coming, but I don't know if those things go on. Last year they went on clearance. They were down to $100.
Ooh.
And I missed out because it was on an off pay week.
Mm-hmm.
They had them there. It was like $100. And then the next week when I got paid, gone. Of course, right? Now, mind you, it was the smaller one because there's like 2 packages. They got a big one that's like 300, and then there's another one that's like slightly smaller that's like 200. And it was the $200 one was down to like $100. Almost had it. This close. This close.
Man.
It's 5 days away from having it. All right. So he says it is not a Dragon Slayer. Well, there's always time. But I have watched some videos and seen plans for it. Hey, man, there's a guy out there who does training, literal training of just swinging the giant swords around. Like you see, he starts off with a lot of his videos, and it's like the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy, if you're familiar. Cloud's Buster Sword, that real big, like almost looks like a giant cleaver. There's that one. He starts off the training with that, and then eventually it gets to the point where it's Guts' ginormous Dragon Slayer sword, which is like 60 pounds. Which, if anybody's familiar with swords and stuff like that, you don't want your sword to be more than like 5-6 pounds. You just don't, because it gets too unwieldy to use. So something that's like 60 pounds, and this guy's just like swinging it around and everything like that, because that's how he trains. Nolan says his boy went as a minion 1 year as well. Darn right, man. Minions were popular, and they're funny and easy. Connor dressed up as a minion on his first birthday. Okay, he didn't actually dress up. We gave him a yellow smash cake, and he turned into one. Close enough. It was a minion-themed birthday, so it worked.
Definitely.
Yeah, so art. It's cool. Art.
Well, maybe let's put it this way. What is, like, pick 2 iconic Masters pieces of art that are kind of your favorite, and why are they your favorite?
Well, I'll just go ahead and first off, Castle Grayskull boxer, without a doubt. Like, hands down, most iconic to me. Sticks out in my memory the most from when I was a kid. That battle scene on the front of it, everything about it, it's huge. Like, to this day, it still stands out prominently in my brain. And the second one I'll go with is the Fright Zone. Because again, it is just another. Like, it was kind of chilling, right? Like, here's this new bad guy, Hordak, right? He's got Buzz off in, like encaged, and then he's got Skeletor up in the tree, and then you got this like monster thing. Like, it was kind of frightening and terrifying. It was the Fright Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. Like, I still appreciate that box art to this day.
What about you, Sean? You still thinking?
I mean, Grayskull would almost be an obvious one. So I'm trying to think of like beyond that one for me. One of them for me would be the Battle Cat one. I mean, that one, pretty much anything from the beginning of the line is always going to grab my attention a bit more because I love that environment that they created, that post-apocalyptic stuff. And the Battle Cat art on there, it's like that wasn't what you got in the box. Like that Battle Cat was more like, this is what Mondo's gonna do 40 years from now, but we want you to know what you're gonna get later in life if you give a damn about this when you're in your 40s. Right. But that was like one of the most ferocious looking things, and I loved how looking at that, I'm like, I'm glad he's on my side. Like, it was just the Rudy Obrero stuff to me. It just that fed into me loving Frank Frazetta stuff, and I know it's kind of like the tail before the head kind of a thing in that way because he was using the influence there. But that one, and then I don't know, like even like the Wind Raider box art and stuff like that. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it has that flavor that I love about the original feel too. Yeah. And I wasn't going to take the Battle Ram from you, so that's why I had to sidestep to the Wind Raider. But yeah, like any of that stuff where it's like it's so heavy on black shadows and things like that, it's always more captivating for me than when you could see Eternia had like the different color skies and all that stuff. It's like, that's all well and good. I like it when it looked like all you had was campfires to light the night kind of thing. I and it made it cool to not even wear the helmet for Battle Cat. I loved it. The helmet's off to the side and Battle Cat's like, you did what? Like, bring it. It's just,
yeah. How dare you?
How dare you besmirch me?
Yeah. That image is I scanned that one from an actual box that's it's made the rounds on the internet now.
Well, I was going to say this one just came up from Pinterest real quick. I was trying to grab it so we could share it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he's got his claws in on every paw, but the one that's about to mess you up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was the first one that Rudy Obrero did for the line too.
Yeah. Just that attention to detail, right? Like, it's a cat, right? Just draw the claws out on the cat. No. His all of his claws are going to be in, except for this paw, because this is the paw that means business.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing too, like even from the anatomy for He-Man and stuff, when you look at what Mark Taylor did, and then you look at what Rubio, it's like there's this synergy between the two of them making this character come to life. And I don't know what, like William George, who later was doing it, I don't mind what he did at all. He's a very talented artist and stuff, but I always felt like he just made it look like here's the toy being painted doing this or whatever at times. Whereas this gave it more, this is what He-Man really looks like. You know, it had that feeling to it. Like, he was there. He painted this in that moment, and he was lucky enough not to get killed. You know, that's kind of why this more for me is always more effective than some of the later stuff, because it just felt like it was staged toys being painted at times, and
Yeah.
this just has a more fluid and it just felt more alive to me, I guess, is the best way I
It's
can
got
describe
that moodiness too.
Mhm.
Like you don't like like what you said, William George, you get more of the product. I mean, some of it, I mean, it does have a lot of action too. I mean, it's good stuff, but it doesn't sort of, the atmosphere on the Rudy stuff is darker because I think because specifically he's trying to do Frazetta,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where I don't know
Yeah.
if William George was trying for that exactly.
No, he felt more legit. Like, this is what, and I, like I said, I have no problem with that, because he also had, he's the one that has the Battle Cat jumping,
Yeah.
painting. That's gorgeous, and that's one of those iconic shots as well. But when it comes to setting the stage for me, it's like you can't top what Rudy brought to the toy line from the beginning in that way, because it really was letting you go, this is them in their environment that way, versus here's what the toy is going to look like sitting on this, and it's like it still looked beautiful, but there was something that was like the imagination wasn't as much, and it felt like it was more Mattel was art directing a bit more to make the product more appealing, versus let's let the imagination go crazy, let the creativity go up to 10, and even that one as well. That the fact that Beastman's riding one, and you're like, wait a minute, what?
Everybody's got one.
Everybody
needs battle tigers. Everybody but Merman, and that's because the tigers wanted to eat the fishy dude.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I love that one too. And when Rudy started, basically his only art director was Mark Taylor. But once Mark left, he had to report to like a bunch of different Mattel people who kept giving him notes like, "Oh, change this, change that," which is why he ended up stopped doing it. It was just became too much of a, too many corporate fingers in the pie.
Yeah,
they were curbing his artistic talents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a shame, but. And speaking of the one with, again, Battle Cat jumping, we'll bring that one up real quick. 'Cause, I mean, honestly, freaking barbarian riding a tiger. Like, this is just one of the coolest things ever. I mean, look, Beastmaster was cool and all like that because he was friends with the animals. But He-Man subjugated them to his will.
Mm-hmm.
I will ride you.
Well, the thing about that too that I still, it sells me on this so much, is when you see that battle armor He-Man on there too.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, I didn't need to be sold very hard to want to get the battle armor variants, because I actually thought they looked very iconic, mixed right in with the other ones. Like when we got into Flying Fist and Thunder Punch, I was kind of like, I don't care. Battle armor kind of like was the apex of, this is what you should do as another version of it. I'm good, or whatever. And when you see that image, and I love that they use that in Revelation in the title credits and stuff. That was the minute that came up, I remember just beaming from ear to ear, going like, that's awesome. That's one of those pieces that I've always loved. And there it is,
So yeah, Rudy, I was just Jay's comment. Yeah, Rudy's a super cool guy. I hope he comes back to the next PowerCon. When I was there, I got a Screech from him because I didn't have. That was one that I didn't have because I had that Super 7 Rudy Obrero print set, which had like all the 82 stuff, but it didn't have any 83 art from him.
Right.
Yeah, I wish I would have gotten that.
There's a lot of things I wish I could get, Sean. I'm with you, buddy.
Oh, like I said, this year has been a little rough, but in general, like I miss out on half of this stuff nowadays. I don't even know. Like, um, other than box art though, I gotta actually give some props though that one of my favorite guys who was out there doing artwork for Masters was probably Earl Norham too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was a kid, you see like the Sunburn. What was it? The Sunbird Legacy or the
Yep.
that like, graphic novel that they made. That image on the cover, like I remember looking at that for hours and just being transfixed of like I love how He-Man is just stepping into Skeletor's space and Skeletor's like getting pushed back, and I love that he even doesn't even he's got like his own sword in that. It's a curved blade instead of it being the purple power sword and all that. And I just when I was a kid, that one just blew my mind because I'm like, He-Man's being so aggressive in this. He's just like, screw you, Skeletor.
Yeah.
Right? But you know what? That's kind of, I get it. It was kids' property. They wanted the guy to be that proper hero type thing. But the He-Man I played with did not give a damn. And he used the axe. He used the sword. He didn't juggle the sword. He used the sword. So, like, I appreciated that because that was giving me that where, as again, I would watch the Filmation cartoon and I'm like, why didn't he just use the damn sword? Like, even as a kid, I'm like, why is he breaking a stalactite and beating him with the club? He's got a sword. Like, I couldn't understand. To me, swords and blades have always been like this key. I love them, right?
Yeah.
Guns, anything else. I love swords. I love blades. And it's just one of those things that, like, you've got the best weapon of all. You've got a sword. Why aren't you using it? And so, like, getting that more in the artwork.
Yeah.
Or even in the books, right? Like the little golden books, he even used a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Like there was actual sword fights that happened. You just didn't get it from the cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon, I mean, as much as you enjoy it, it's they were so overly cautious. I mean, you kind of get it just because they were constantly being accused of, oh, it's satanic, it's corrupting kids,
right?
And it's the most tame cartoon on TV, practically.
Satanic panic! Look at that the ram horns on the skull guy's staff. Like, all right, calm down. It's not Aleister Crowley here. Chill. It's Alan Oppenheimer. You hear how ridiculous he sounds?
Yeah.
Yes, he's not summoning the demons. Okay.
That was
one issue where he summons Ninja.
I mean, it's not often when I was a kid where a toy line would make my mom literally need to debate if I could have it or not. And like He-Man was the first foray into me having to actually plead my case into stuff like that, and me being 3 or 4 at the most when He-Man came out. I'm amazed I could actually do that with her. I'm amazed I could actually hold my own and argue this, but I wanted it so bad. The minute I saw that He-Man figure, I'm like, I gotta go home with this. This is amazing. What is, like I gotta know more about this stuff. And my mom took a look at Skeletor, and I know she probably was like, well, that's just not coming into my house. And then eventually he showed up at my house, and it's like I had all of the figures from the first wave after a certain point.
Yeah.
And once my mom got to watch the show, she was like, "Oh, this isn't so bad." Like, it's like he's not like, I summon Satan. It's like, no, Skeletor's and all that stuff. And
right.
But
around calling people buffoons.
And you royal boob and all that stuff. But I mean that was one of those things though. Like, I completely agree with you, Oz, on that, because like as a kid, the best part of the show would always be the minute that Prince Adam gets into the pose, and then all of a sudden, by the power, it's like the minute that theme would kick in, every day at like 3 o'clock, I would lose my mind. And then once he makes the transition into He-Man, I remember thinking, it's not going to be as cool as you thought it was going to be because he's going to just punch it, or he's going to do something to like grapple and throw
Right.
it to the side or something, and it wasn't going to be, he's got the sword and it's just going to go, and get in there and stuff.
See, at first though, I was hanging in there like every episode. This is gonna be the one. This is gonna
be the one.
Bing! I reflected your blaster.
Yeah.
Now let me put it away.
Yep.
Like, no. Your toy comes with a shield. Get a shield and use that for that. But use the sword to cut off Skeletor's arm, and now he can't do that again.
I am right there with you, because I remember there was some magazine I got where it showed a still from the cartoon saying that this was going to be coming out in the fall. And as a kid that didn't have the cartoon at that point, I was looking and almost burning a hole into this image going, I cannot believe there's going to be a cartoon. Here's He-Man on top of Battle Cat, and it's that pose right when they're about to jump off the screen typically. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I'm thinking like all the ways they could do this show, and then he has a sword, there's no shield, there's no axe, and I'm like, what? Like, why? And it makes sense now in what they had to do to make it work on the show, but there's that part of me that's like, there's an alternate version out there where he had all the accessories at his, at his fingertips anytime he needed them. And there's an episode where Skeletor probably got it in the gut with the axe, and then he is just like, I told you. Leave them alone.
And Allison says here, it was worse with how tame they made She-Ra. And I'll give She-Ra this. At least she got to use her sword, although not as a sword ever. She'd get her sword out and it would become a lasso, or it would become
a blanket.
Right, like it would just become something else completely. Like, I get that maybe violence doesn't solve all your issues, but about 90% of the issues on Eternia probably could have been solved by don't start nothing, won't be nothing. After the first few times of He-Man and She-Ra using their swords. Like, wait a minute. The hoity-toity prince and princess, or like a barbarian and a Valkyrie, and okay, well, we're not messing with these guys, but no. It's as bad as a Wonder Twin turning into a bucket of water.
Yeah.
Well, that the Filmation animated cartoon. I think that's the. We probably all have seen that, I assume, but that's sort of the tone that I think would have worked much better for me had they gone in that direction.
Which
is basically,
I was reading Eric's comment. Which version was better for you?
The animated cartoon that Filmation made. I mean the animated commercial that they made for
the first thing that they were going before the actual cartoon.
I'm right there with you on that one. When I saw that, I'm like, that's what I wanted. That was what I thought it was going to be. And then when I saw what the cartoon became, I was like, it's too much rainbow colors in this and all. It was too bright. I'm like, I loved how dark that version was in the that commercial. And
so I didn't even know about that commercial until I was like probably 26, 27. And, as we find things online and He-Man.org a thing. So like now my previously limited what I could research, which I'm sorry, back in the days of going to the library and trying to look up stuff about He-Man, absolutely ridiculous trying to find anything. I don't know how any of that information got compiled, but it did because, again, we eventually got the internet where a lot of this stuff came out. So stumbling across that, I was like, yeah, this is like the Golden Book covers came to life,
Mm-hmm.
on
Mhm.
screen.
Yep.
Not even the inside illustrations, but those covers that look so visceral.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'd still to this day love to get that kind of a He-Man series. And I'm not knocking what we've got, right?
Yeah.
2000X is my favorite animated series. I know it can be a little bit flashy and a little bit more anime than most people like, but I really enjoyed it because at least we had sword fighting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that. And then again, well, Revelation and Revolution, I love them both. Anybody can complain what they want to about either. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I think they're great. I love the overall story across both series. And again, one of my favorite versions to this day still is that CGI version, which is, I totally was like, I can't stand the way they look and everything else. Like, that's how I felt leading up to it. But after actually getting in and watching that show, it was impossible for me not to fall in love with it. It
Mm-hmm.
was great. I've gone back and rewatched it like 6 or 7 times since it ended.
Oh wow.
I
For
really
me,
enjoyed it, and I wanted more.
well, that show proved that the brand had legs. I mean, it showed you could tell stories that don't have to be that don't have to be tethered so hard to what we saw in 1983. It made it go, here, we're going to do something completely new. We're going to do something that you don't know where the story is going to go. And that's what I loved about it most was, like every time I thought, oh, well, now the Tuvar and Badger are going to become Two-Bat. Never happened. I liked that it never did. I
Get
liked
that.
that it was
Mhm.
a hint, and that was all we got. And I'm like, I'm good with that because I don't want to have to sit there and go, I bet that's what's going to happen. And then it happens, and I'm like, told you. That's annoying. I can do that with most things nowadays. And I like how in that one in particular, they were doing it in such a different way, but still making it really captivating that you wanted to keep seeing where it was going to go next. And yeah, I mean, I'm one of these people. Like, Filmation gave us something that it spoke to a ton of kids back in the '80s, and it's
Yeah.
very much like that is their childhood, and I'm a part of that. I'm not going to say I'm not part of it
Right?
because obviously I watched it and I grew up on it and I loved it too. But part of the whole thing with me when it comes to the '80s and the properties, it's like they never got brave enough to take it to another level. And that's what always bugged me about Masters, because the closest we got to that was the live action movie, because it freaking went off the map. And all of a sudden now, like they're talking about like Skeletor 1. He's literally in Grayskull now. And it blew my mind when I was a kid. But for me, the one that still will take the cake of this is how you do it and this is how you do it effectively will always be Transformers the movie. Because when I was a kid, that commercial, I still remember the commercial coming on, and I'm sitting there going, this looks amazing. I go to the movie, I'm like, Optimus is dead in the first quarter of the movie. Now
Totally.
what?
Out of nowhere. But look, though, has Hasbro learned with that because
Yeah.
they were in production of G.I. Joe and they were going to kill Duke. And like with the outrage that happened over Optimus, they were like, so don't kill Duke. Leave him alone. He gets better. All right. Just, we need to remove him for the movie because we've already removed him for most of the movie. But at the end of the movie, make him come back.
That's true.
They
The funny
caught a
thing,
lot of flack from killing Optimus.
oh, I know. I mean, I heard about like kids were locked in their bathrooms and the parents couldn't get them out and all that because they were trying to process their
Devastated. Just devastated.
absolutely. And I get it, but it's like I love how I hear that story all the time, and I'm like Hasbro could have killed Duke any day, and I would have said, okay, because Duke was
As long as they
never one of my favorites in G.I. Joe in any way, shape, or form.
As long as they didn't kill Snake Eyes, I'd have been.
See, I was cool with Snake Eyes, but my guy was Flint. So I knew if Duke died, Flint was going to be with us.
Flint could definitely do it, right? Flint could do it. But,
So,
you know, it was like they were going to leave it in the hands of Falcon. And although Don Johnson, cool on Miami Vice, could not leave my Joes.
no. Nope.
So Thanos Copter says, Filmation has the coolest looking Eternia, in my opinion. Now, I got to give it there, man. There is a lot of cool background scenery and overall lay of the land that Filmation put out for Eternia that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Just real quick, that's where 2000X failed sometimes. The Filmation really went in there and made it alien looking, but also made you feel like you were at home in the environment at the same time. It was like this really weird blend that they pulled off really well.
So I actually enjoyed some of those scenes that we did get in 2000X, right? Like, so I agree. I've always enjoyed the idea of Eternia being a wasteland, but at the same point in time, there needs to be some fertile, you know, areas of like jungle and stuff. And it just seemed like there was very little of that. In 2000X, you had some wastelands. Of course, that was all just the Dark Hemisphere, though.
Yep.
Right? Like, look, Dark Hemisphere in Filmation, it was like, okay, they took some of the hanging moss off of Eterno's Palace, and now you're in the Dark Hemisphere. With the way all of Eternia was. So I liked a lot of the jungles and stuff from 2000X and some of the exploration. But yeah, Filmation definitely had that wasteland feel that I got from the boxes of the toys I was looking at.
Yep.
Because all of the toys really, it was just rocks, mountains. Honestly, like the most unappealing landscape of all that you could possibly think of. Like, I don't know why y'all are fighting over this turd of a rock, but that power of Grayskull must be worth something.
Well, that's that for me at least. When you see the art of here's this barren wilderness kind of feel to it, and then all of a sudden here's something like the battle ram. I gotta go there because Adam, you know, just gotta. But the whole thing of like you see that tech and you see that weaponry, and you're sitting there going, "This is nuts." Like, how did they got that going on? They got Point Dread going on. They have all these, and it's like, and it's literally this barren battlefield, and still they want to fight through this, like you're saying, and it is really, really effective in that way to me.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
look at that.
Yeah, for this one, you've got to like to get the scene. You got to look at this angle.
Right, you got to look at the whole thing, and I still think that's like the only image I ever remember seeing of the battle ram where it's depicted, and I mean in artwork, depicted as a separate piece. Or
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that: showing both pieces in the same panel.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because like there's plenty of other pictures of people riding around on jet sleds, the front part of the battle ram. But it's like as soon as it detaches, everybody just forgets there's this whole extra portion of it. And you never see that in any of the other pictures. This is one of the few pictures where they're like, you got this stationary kind of battle station now because the front piece is detached. But like to me, right? Like it was a play set or a vehis set, as some people would call it, because you had like a mobile command center and then it could detach into a scout vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get like this is one of like some of them you just have one or two characters. This one you get most of the characters. I don't think.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
At least wave one.
You get explosions, but yeah, like a lot of it's, you know, this is barren, sort of barren land. Like it seems like every artist has a different interpretation. Like with Rudy Obrera, you get a lot of rocks and smoke and some hints of lava and things like that. Like Alfredo Alcala, you got more of like jungles and mountains and oceans.
Yeah, when you get to
That,
those comics and stuff.
yeah. Filmation's very
Though.
alien looking.
You
Everybody
didn't
has
want to
kind of a
have to
different.
draw those trees all the time, right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
get it. It makes sense. It's a lot easier to draw a barren landscape where you can
Yeah.
put a couple lines in and get rocks versus having to draw a billion trees in the background. And I totally get that. And I don't mind. But, oh, man. Again, the mini comic really is what built my style of play. Because, again, I couldn't read most of the words in it when I was real young, just looking at the pictures. But that developed. All those funky, weird creatures and stuff like that. Which might be one of the reasons why I'm so obsessed with creatures today. So, Allison was bringing back to Don Johnson here. He was way too busy looking for a heartbeat to leave G.I. Joe. It's great. And yes, love the Alcala sky full of planets and stars. It's really cool. And I truly do appreciate the way that Axel, Roy Juarez, and the team have taken all those influences from the original. They're not just trying to reproduce all the original art. They're taking the influences from that. They're taking influences from Frazetta, from Boris Vallejo, and pulling that into the artwork they're doing. And we're still getting a lot of it too from even Nate. I'm really excited to see the Masterverse vintage collection now, right? Because that Skeletor box is just doing it. Like, got that original art on the back and everything. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Really.
Nate's for sure one of my favorite modern artists for Masters. Everything he does is excellent. He really captures.
Yeah.
The other one who to me is also knocking it out of the park is Simon Eckert. He's one. He's from Germany. And he worked for the Grayskull Con convention, but now he's doing the box art.
He's doing Masterverse now.
Yeah, that's good stuff too.
And he did this wave, so like the Manowar, the I don't know what Snake Sorceress Stealer or whatever you want to call her, the Merman and the Battle Armor Skeletor he did, and I mean he's one of those guys that when I see what he does, and I saw his work like years ago, and the fact that like they have Nate working on the line, they have Simon working on the line, they have Eamon Donahue. He's working. He worked on the line, and it's like you want to talk about like geeks done good. These guys, I mean, they're fanboys first and foremost, I'd imagine, and they're able to contribute to the line like that. I mean, somebody like me who I have so much going on, I don't have time to do the artwork. I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, I missed my calling. It sucks. But it's still awesome. These people are able to do this to something they loved from their childhood now,
Yeah. And a lot of these guys. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from fans to creators, because again, as kids, we were fans, and it helped fueled our passions. Like, one of the reasons I got into drawing and art so much was stuff like, the box art on He-Man. It influenced that. I loved drawing stuff. And to see, like, maybe if I'd stuck with it a little bit more and dedicated myself more to art. I mean, remember, they found Nate in the He-Man.org forums.
Yep.
Like that's where he got. And then he started doing art for them. And I think Axel the same way, too. He was out of He-Man. It's like, man, if
too.
Yeah. If I'd just been posting pictures of my artwork in there, I could be working for Mattel.
That seriously happened a lot. Like
a lot
of those He-Man.org guys, they're doing official stuff now.
Absolutely.
And they're even somehow managing to get away with doing some unofficial stuff without getting slapped for it either.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys have seen some of the stuff that's come out of the Grayskull Con, I'm in the hunt for getting. I need the snake weapons accessory. That was
Yeah.
I need
Oh,
that.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Now,
Uh,
David was telling me Boojaboo's the one, if you follow him on IG, he's the one that did the sculpts for those. So he may
He's good.
have the files for, sale, or you can buy the pieces separately. I don't need the actual packaging, although it's great and I love it. I'm not keeping packaging for everything anymore. Stuff like this is a different story. This is meant to be kept and looking beautiful, but instead, Lord's powerful. Again, it substituted Grayskull and Snake Mountain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so,
it's a great set.
but yeah, I need to hunt down that set for my Snake Mountain because I need those weapons. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No,
Once they put it in with Reptilax, just not doing it.
I kind of freaked out over the Thunder 3 vehicle, like the concept Mark Taylor vehicle, and then the prototype cannon for Castle Grayskull too, which I have one like on my this one, but the other one's scaled for like classics. So I'm like thinking, oh, maybe I want that on my classics Grayskull too.
Why not, right? Why not? Get it on, put it in there. And again, you're absolutely right. Getting like that, the concept vehicle's coming out, right? I know a lot of
Yeah.
people dumped on Snake Layer, but the Rattle Trap, man, I wanted it.
Yeah, I like that. I would want that just all by itself.
Right? Like, I don't need necessarily, I mean, I want the Snake Layer period. We all know I need it. But I don't know how I'm going to afford it, but I'm going to find a way. Hopefully, they'll listen to us now and be like, okay, we need to keep it at this lower price range. We can't turn any of this up now. We can't do 500, $550 with a $100 flat rate shipping on it, so it's automatically $650. Can't cost people almost a whole paycheck. They're going to do it. Well,
So-
go ahead, Sean.
Since we're talking art, this is another one. He never did anything official with the line, but there is an artist that I found like 10, 15 years ago, pretty much. Gerald Perel. And he's worked for DC and Marvel Comics and all this stuff, big name. But he was doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that's right. I remember him. Yeah, he did some
And
great pieces.
a couple years ago, they had an art dealer made prints, and the funny thing was my cat jumped up and was trying to get involved in the show tonight, and I had to move some stuff, and then I'm literally looking at these prints going, I didn't even open these, and this would actually make perfect sense for right now, so I'm going to.
Yeah, let's do it.
So he did all of the original characters from the first wave. I couldn't afford getting all of them, but I got the ones that spoke to me the most. So the first one of which,
Yeah, that's a beautiful one.
and he's doing homages to the
Alcoa.
Alcoa right there, which I love
Yep.
it from the cross-sell art. Because when I was a kid, I would stare at this and I would stare at the Skeletor in it, and he did one of the Skeletor from it, where his longs are a little armor. His arms are a little longer, not his longs are a little armor, and stuff. So he's drawing from that. But there's this, and then there is. Let me get this one first. Tila.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And this one, the minute I saw that, I'm like, this is gorgeous. And
Yeah.
what I love is if you look at his stuff like I'm showing you right now, you're seeing something that looks perfect. And then when you look at it and you get close to it, he's got so many just like sketchy lines to make this look the way it does that it's just amazing to look at. just the detail that you get in general with his stuff. But he digitally colors it. But he usually, I want to say usually hand renders it first, and then he digitally goes in.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So he had Man-at-Arms, Beastman, Man-at-Arms, Beastman, Skeletor, and then he redid the one where it's Skeletor, Beastman, He-Man, and Man-at-Arms going head-to-head in front of Grayskull.
Yeah.
And he
Daryl
did that in
McCartney
his
thing.
own style and all that. And to this day, like, I got those right when we got our stimulus checks, when quarantine was going on. And I kept going, I want to go back. I want to get some of the other ones. By the time that I could get enough money to go back and get more, they were already done with the whole run. And I was like, man,
Right. Yeah.
I would have at least liked to get Skeletor. But
Yeah.
There was another set. What was it? SB, like this Spanish artist who did box art for the Spain packaging.
mhm.
I forget what his first name. Last name was SB. But that was recently out. Like one of the Spanish groups put that out recently.
Nice.
That is awesome. Really awesome. Well, guys, earlier we were talking a little bit about Halloween and dressing up as something you're not,
Mm-hmm.
which is a perfect segue when talking about something that is not what it seems to the
Welcome to another edition of the Battle Ram Report, brought to you by Adam, author of the BattleRamblog.com website, the best Motu site on the web. He'll throw you a He-Man punch and a Skeletor blast. Be ready to get some knowledge. Take it away, Adam.
I love that Bobby's here even when he's not here.
I was just about to say, even though he's not here, he's here.
That's right.
So tonight's Battle Ram Report, take it away.
Faker, yeah. So I thought this might be a fun one. I mean, Faker is, I think he's one of those figures who was probably pretty obscure growing up. I think I don't know, if you hear people talk about it, like a lot of people say, well, my mom wouldn't get this for me because it's just a blue He-Man. Like, you already have He-Man, you can't get this guy. And I think he's somebody who's gotten, he's kind of like Scareglow. He's just gotten more popular as the fandom has aged. So he's probably the most popular of the cheap repaints for sure. Is that, I don't know, is that you guys' sort of?
No, I can totally feel that. I mean, as a kid, I remember being confused because, again, I couldn't read, so I couldn't really tell what was on the box. But it was like blue He-Man, wearing Skeletor. I thought he was just cool. I didn't understand why he was blue. And then I lost the armor, so I even forgot for a long time that he had Skeletor's armor in orange. But, like, I don't know. There was just something about the blue color, the orange sword, and trying to mix that with the blue sword that came out from the accessory pack, too, which didn't fit because they were both, like, outies, not innies. So,
right.
I could never really get them to stick together, but I did try. I don't know. I really did enjoy this toy as a kid. And definitely as I've gotten older, I'm even more fond of Faker. Like, I actually do like him more now than I did then. And that's from somebody who liked him as a kid, too.
Yeah, for me, like, the beauty of having a mom like I had was the fact that if something was a curiosity to her, it usually meant I got to take it home. And in the case of this, she saw this figure, and this was probably like a year into me loving this line. And we saw it at like the Five and Dime in Baltimore, and she goes, "Did they mess up?" I remember this. She was like, did they mess up? Why is he blue? And I'm like, I don't know. And she goes, well, do you need that one? I'm like, Uh-huh. I know.
Answer is always yes.
See, the cool thing too then was you found out that the sticker was underneath, and it had more mystery to them then, and you're like, why would they do that? And it did make it. It was like this. You thought it was almost a production error that they did, and then it's like, no, it's actually legit. We mean this. This is now a new character, and I'm like, okay, how cool is that?
It's like my Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah. Basic. I never even thought of that, but yeah.
Right? Skeletor's Teddy Ruxpin's actually just a blue He-Man.
I'm just glad. I mean, when
Yeah.
they took those names so seriously back in the day, I'm so glad they didn't call him 8-Track or something. I mean, geez.
Right, yeah.
Faker's such a better name, at least, if you're just going to go there.
Yeah, Faker's a great name. I actually really like it's. And again, we gotta remember that although the way they did the names was kind of like really like that's what you got, but at the same point in time is so simplistic. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Faker's name is perfect. Now, get into this more because I'm going to bring something up here too, which is actually really kind of cool.
Okay. All right. So next slide.
Are you able to do it, or you need me to?
I don't know if I can because I'm on my phone with this. All right. So this is I've recently added this. If you guys go to my website recently, I made a bunch of updates. So I put this like little vital stats at the beginning of all these articles. So basically the release date where that comes from is the corpus of newspapers.com. Basically the earliest newspaper ad for Faker. That's where that date comes from. So my thought is probably, if you fuzz it within 2 weeks either way, that's probably about when he came out originally. Because they wouldn't advertise it if he wasn't out, and they so it's probably sometime April 1983. In the next image, we just kind of get a look at the figure. The vintage Faker, like I always think, different characters, and sometimes the vintage one is my favorite, sometimes the classics or Mondo or Origins or whatever. But for me, the best Faker is the vintage Faker, and I think it's probably because he's leaning on that original He-Man head, that sort of perfect head sculpt and this perfect sort of proportions, and he's got these candy colors. He looks like the blueberry orange version of He-Man, for sure.
Agreed. And again, that original He-Man head sculpt, iconic. I don't know why they have such a hard time replicating it. They've done better, but one replicating it, even with the vintage head and Origins. But it's just something about it. It will always be the best.
Yeah. So one of the theories as to how he came about, like maybe they were photographing He-Man, and back in the day when you have film negatives, like, oh, here's a blue He-Man. What could we do with that? Which it's kind of borne out, maybe, not confirmed, but maybe borne out in some of the descriptions that you see later. We'll go towards the end of the presentation about that. Of course, that gives you the blue skin, but obviously you don't get the orange from that. But orange is like the complementary color for blue.
Yeah, definitely. It's that polar opposite, so it stands out in the color.
So Faker prototype, as prototypes go, it's basically just a He-Man figure that they painted up. The one thing to note though is the eyes. On the prototype you can see they did give him red eyes. He just got the black eyes on the actual toy. We did get red eyes in classics. I don't know if we've gotten that else in other. I don't remember if the Origins one has red eyes.
No, Origins doesn't.
Okay.
The Leo Faker does, but that's specific because it's the Leo Faker. So
Right. He's got the Lone Ranger face.
yeah, the little mask too.
Yeah. This one's kind of fun. I have got a replica of this, courtesy of a friend of mine who he bought one and then he scanned it, printed it out, and sent it to me. This is it's a color change He-Man versus Faker poster. So I believe you did. Yeah, you just basically got a paintbrush with some water, and then the Faker would turn blue with the application of water. But it also, it talks a bit about this one's a slightly confusing description because he's Skeletor's weapon. He looks like He-Man, only he's blue. Nothing about him being a robot. It says his heart is evil. He's got huge muscles.
Heart is evil.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I take a pencil to his heart, I can dismantle the whole thing, or at least
Right.
tighten it up a little. It is really cool, though. I've never seen this before, so that is really,
Yeah. It looks like, I mean, it's not signed, but this one does look like Alfredo Alcala. It looks
Yeah.
like his like the hair and the swords.
Mhm.
It looks like his stuff.
Definitely.
Especially with the style of swords.
Hmm. So the awesome reel-to-reel tape deck on his chest, that was done by this gentleman, Martin Oriola. Yeah, feel free to do anything you need for your coloring, Allison. Take whatever you need. So I asked him like, okay, so who designed Faker? And he would never, like, anytime I asked him about like who did one of these repaints, he said, oh, it was just a refresh. Like, he didn't want to say like whose idea it was, because I think maybe, like, okay, it's existing parts, you don't get credit for that. But he did say that he did this sticker. I don't know if he chose the colors for Faker or if it was somebody else.
Right. I mean, it's still cool. Still cool. He was
Yeah.
like, all right, we can't just have a complete repaint, okay? We'll give him a sticker.
Yeah. So the different releases of Faker. So despite coming out in '83, he does come out on the 8-back at first. He's the only '83 figure to come out on an 8-back, which a lot of fans for years, they speculated, well, maybe he actually came out in '82 because of that. I've looked for anything like that. No ads in '82. The filings that Mattel did for their copyrights and all that stuff are consistent with an '83 figure. So I'm not sure why, unless they were just thinking, okay, this is a cheap repaint, we're not going to bother to pay for like
A full, like, hardback.
yeah, the Errol McCarthy art on the back. So they just did this.
There's a good possibility of that. It's also just quite possible, too, that where it was in production, they're like, all right, let's get this figure put out. And, well, we don't have the finalized art yet, so on the next round, we'll get it out.
Right. And they did eventually do it, which is our next page. So the second release. So this, you get the cool Errol McCarthy art. One thing you don't get in any of the the '83 Fakers is you don't get Fakers cross-sell art on the back of the packaging. You don't get that until '87. This one is interesting because if you go to the next page, there's a zoom in on the actual figure. This version has Skeletor arms. So, and you never know if you see one on eBay if it has Skeletor arms. Did it actually come by that like that, or did somebody just swap the arms? But this, you can tell this is mint on card, so it came like that. So I'm not sure, how many were like that.
Mine was probably from '87, so he probably would not have had.
Probably, yeah, because you're younger. And that's
right.
Yeah.
See, that was one thing. Like with Origins, we're getting wave after wave after wave, and then the other waves are being gone. In the original line, they did a lot of reruns of the
Mhm.
earlier figures and kept producing, which is how they ended up overproducing a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, it's like certain things did get changed. Like this is one of those instances. I don't think I've ever noticed a sealed Faker with the Skeletor arms. I always just thought somebody like replaced one with the Skeletor arms. So, like you said, you never know if that's what they did or if it came like this. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's possible, like because often I think if you take off the arms on the inside, there's a code, and there it could be there's like a different code for Faker Skeletor arms versus actual Skeletor arms. I don't know. I guess if you opened up one of these mint on card ones, you could tell, but nobody's going to do that.
I mean, I'm always willing to take a crack at something.
And then just like there's a couple of William George posters where he also has Skeletor arms, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Well,
That
if he
must have
were
been the
handed-
model that he got.
Yeah, if he were handed that version of the toy, then that makes sense. It's still cool to see. And then, of course, again, you see that more pink look and that one image against the green. It looks almost more like he's got the pink armor and a pink
Mhm.
sword
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
the definitively orange one.
yeah. And the pink one that's an 87 poster, and that cross cell art that was pink came out in 87 as well.
Right.
So here's the
Speaking-
reissue. Yeah, speaking of that. And you can see the cross cell art here. This one I always like the original best because it has the hollow rotocast head. This one's got a solid head, and I feel like the details don't get translate quite as well. Also, they reverse the paint, like his head's cast in red with painted on skin, which I don't think works as well. But you do get the awesome artwork on the front by Bruce Timm did the art on the front.
Yeah, this was definitively mine because this also the mini comic that came with this was the
Yeah.
Hunt for Keldor.
Search for Killer, yeah. And this is the only mini comic appearance that Faker actually had too. Was that episode, that issue?
Yeah. And that's why, again, for the cross sell, you've got Scareglow and Ninjor because they were part of that story for the mini comic. And yeah, this is where we get that pink look.
That's
Mhm.
right. Yeah, I should have done a blow up of that cross sell. I do like the pink look. I think it's a nice alternative look. I think they would do well to re-release him like in Origins. I think with the pink armor would be great. I don't know. There's something pleasing about it.
That's why I was excited when New Eternia Faker came out because, okay, we got Faker from Revelation. He came with the orange armor. So then they're like, okay, for New Eternia, we'll release him with the pink. And anybody who already had the orange armor, you can always just put that on this one. Kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. I always like that kind of stuff.
But, hey, I know there was a lot of fakers out there because that was one of those waves that kind of got stuck and people didn't necessarily buy. But I think everybody'd be down if they were to do like a little, do it for a con exclusive or something,
Yeah.
a limited run pink faker, right?
Pink Faker, give him an extra battle damage head or something.
Yeah. Give him the axe. Give him the actual
There you go. Yeah.
He-Man axe in pink. Oh, here's our boy.
Yep, Leo Faker. This is from the Motu Vintage Variant site. That's a great site for if you haven't checked them out. Tracking all those crazy international variants, which I just brush very lightly on those, and they get into really deep on those. But it's kind of hilarious. He's some like Leo and Top Toys, you'd often get these card backs that were reused from other toys. Like it's got this Leech card, and they put this Faker sticker over the name, but you still have the
Right.
Leech card back.
Yeah,
Kind of a cool look though. I like the eye makeup that they gave him.
Well, it was that very popular glam rock time, So, like, he was just channeling his inner Bowie, right?
That's right. That's right. I was thinking Twisted Sister, but he could
yeah,
be with Bowie too.
definitely. Yeah, I know we had done an episode of Frenzy early on covering a lot of the variants and stuff, and you're right. Like, when it came to Top Toy and Leo, these guys just, like, whatever, get it in the box and get it out there on the shelf. Like, we don't care. It showed.
Yeah. But they did come up with some cool stuff, like the colors and variants that they came up with were kind of neat.
Oh man, is it the Leo Skeletor with the like gray?
Yeah,
gray
kind of like a dark.
That.
Yeah.
Dark blue body and then like the gray, almost black armor. I think it's a great look. It's not
and
my
then they
disco
like
Skeletor.
the battle armor Skeletor, but they give him battle armor He-Man's chest, and it's just painted like battle armor Skeletor.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting too. A few other variants. We got the France Faker, which is mostly just down to those bright purple trunks. Is kind of the distinguisher there.
He's wearing his French purple mantle.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this one, I was talking to this guy Tokyo Never. He was he He-Man guy. He ran Grayskull Museum, if you remember that site.
Mm-hmm.
This is he believes that there was an early like this would be another like first release super rare thing. Early Taiwan released in US Faker that actually came with the Skeletor's belt as well. And this was the figure the picture that he had of it. So I haven't seen much of that since he and I talked about that. It's not like I haven't seen anybody talking about it or pictures of any other versions. So I can't confirm if this is real or not. But
Right. Anytime I've seen the orange skirt, it's always been the Leo.
yeah.
No, I remember that.
Yeah, this was on James Etalk's site forever before it went down. The Evil Warriors giant coloring picture book. So this obviously very clearly is a robot wearing He-Man's the He-Man harness in this version.
Just bringing up some of Allison's comments here. I bought an ultra rare Princess of Power Wave 2 Fantastic Fashion from Tokyo.
Yeah.
Tokyo Never, way back in the late 90s, early 2000s. He has a gig with his Poison cover band after he tries to break into Grayskull. Talking about the Leo Faker, home glam rock. And Eric has mentioned that he checked his Faker has the He-Man style arms. Let's see. And they were listing OG He-Man, Skeletor, Tila Evelyn, Man-at-Arms, and Beastman up until the very end. Right? Yeah, because that's just, it was a good way to put those toys in hands.
Yeah.
Yes, here we are.
Yeah. So yeah, his one appearance in Filmation. Obviously, they chose to do it this way. They could, I mean, they had the design from Mattel, so they knew what the toy looked like. But I think they figured story wise, we can't make that work. I think James talked at a video where like early in the script, it was a little clearer that he was going to be blue, and he was hiding the shadows to keep his skin color kind of less obvious. But that in the animation they chose not to do that.
Well, because they were also budgeted where they could use a lot of stock footage again if he looks the same, and then they can just, it's cheaper to reuse stock footage and add a little to it than redo an entire cell,
Right.
just because we need to do a new color. So a lot of that just came down to the budget constraints, of animation.
Yeah. So you get there's this is like the UK annual is kind of good because it has a lot of prototype pictures, but it also has, you get the early bios for a lot of these characters and what they were supposed to be, just from it drawing from some of the early material. So I think probably canonically, this is what you would say Faker is. He's an evil robot created by Skeletor with the aim of looking exactly like He-Man. And this is the kind of going back to that negative image that it had. So something went wrong with the spell, and Faker's a miscolored and negative version of He-Man, easily detectable as the evil being that he is. Skeletor can sometimes make him look exactly like He-Man through magic, but it's a short-term spell, so that he can only fool people for a short period of time. It's kind of a cool way to think of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just the zoom in
Okay,
of that.
blown up version of it.
Yeah,
Very cool. And I think
yeah. That's all I put in there.
Well, the other cool thing about Faker too, like even when it came to like the 2000X series and the way they were going to introduce them, there's that one episode where they kidnap Prince Adam, and Man at Arms had worked on like these training robots to help train Prince Adam, and basically he makes it look like He-Man. So He-Man can show up to rescue Prince Adam while they try to get Prince Adam the Power Sword, so the actual He-Man.
Right.
And then in like one very quick, because they eventually knock out the robot, and it's not actually He-Man, of course, the bad guys. And there's one quick flicker of the hologram, and it's switched to Faker colors. It's very quick. I didn't notice it until I watched the commentary for the episode and they brought it up. But it's really cool that they did that, because that was supposed to lead to eventually them recovering that robot on the field and having Faker in 2000X. Just never came to be. Now, just last week, towards the end of last week, of course, there was it Toylanta or Joe Lana was going on, and our friends over at Spiro Toys were there. And they did a new figure reveal. And this is what we're looking at, folks.
Oh, nice.
100% inspired by our good friend Faker. And I didn't actually see the name when I came across this, but Adam Highly Articulated, who works with Spiro Toys, he brought my attention to the fact that the name is Felonious. So this will be a 2025 Joe Lana exclusive. We have a feeling that because it's an homage figure to a He-Man, that this was probably meant for PowerCon 2024. And since we never got PowerCon 2024, now he's going to be pushed as a Joe Lana exclusive for next year. But yes, Felonious is another word for Faker. It's great. It's just so cool to see this. They made sure to give him the orange sword. He's got the orange upper armor with the purple lower armor. Phenomenal
It's
job.
amazing. Like the colors, just the colors alone. I mean, if you did this guy like tan and silver, like you would never think like there's no relation at all. Just the colors alone. Oh, it's Faker, obviously.
Yeah, and that was my exact thought when I woke up. I think it was Friday or Saturday. I woke up and this was the first thing I saw, and I was like, oh no shit. Like, because again, it's instantly recognizable and iconic without having to know anything else about it. You see the orange hair, orange armor, blue body. I didn't even need to see the purple on the legs. That was something I didn't notice until looking at it again later. I was like, oh, cool. Because again, he's got purple trunks and purple boots. So keeping the purple lower half of the armor with the orange upper top part. And again, the orange sword, like instantly 100% recognizable. And again, just the name, Felonious. Like full on homage, Jason and the guys at Sparrow. If you guys aren't following Sparrow toys, check them out. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, AWOC. If you're not looking at these things, man, get one in hand. Check them out. Talk to our good friends Adam and Brick. They will let you know all about it. Or just stop into the clubhouse weekend. We bring them up at least once a freaking show. So, but just a cool little add-on to the end there, because we're talking about Faker dressing up as something we're not.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Very cool.
Guys, it's hitting to be about that 2.5 hour mark that we try to keep these shows. Somehow, without Bobby and Skelly, we've managed to keep the show rolling. We didn't get as wild as we normally do when Grandpa Skelly's not here.
Yeah.
We managed to keep it a little tamer this time.
Nobody did a striptease or anything like usual.
I mean, got time. I got 8 minutes. It'll only take me 60 seconds. So, guys, if you had fun tonight, make sure you like and subscribe. Catch us. Again, typically this is a once-a-month show. This month, you're going to get us twice. You got us tonight hanging out. Thank you, Sean, for being able to make it tonight because it's required when Skelly has the art gallery. Equal Uncle Sean. It's just not going to be a great show.
Yeah. Always good to see Sean.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Yep. And then later this month, we're going to have our Halloween special where we are trying to get Alan, Vine Jungle Figure Factory, or Still Be Studios. If you guys aren't following him on YouTube and IG, check him out. As well as, I believe Skelly's still trying to talk to Hollywood Haunter to come on. We're going to talk about haunting. We're going to talk about Monster Camp. We're going to talk about creating haunts and stuff like that. So definitely come check out that episode. And kind of talked about it this past weekend on Clubhouse. I was going to say we were going to get 3 episodes this month, but we hadn't finalized the date yet. Already got an idea, of course, for our next episode that'll be coming up in November, and you guys aren't going to want to miss it. We've talked about it for a while now. We are having the epic return of Blake Wright, Toy Collector Magazine. He will be joining us again next month, and we have set on November 7th, so you're going to want to be here to check that out. Who knows? We may even get some exclusive reveals. We never know what Blake's cooking, but definitely come check us out. Guys, it has been a blast. Thank you all for hanging out. We miss seeing you guys every Thursday, so we're extra glad when you're here. And, don't forget to join